So, John, if you were going to repeat a day of your life indefinitely, what would you want to happen?
Well, I can tell you what I wouldn't want to be happening.
Okay.
I wouldn't want it to be a day when I was having to edit this podcast. Because that already feels very much like Groundhog Day for me a lot of the time. So
Editing the Groundhog Day podcast forevermore.
Yeah, that's a definite no-no.
Okay, yeah. But what would you want to happen?
I don't know if I'd want anything particular to happen, because surely anything that you did like 10,000 times in a row would become hellish, whether you like it or not. So I'd rather have like a day where nothing happened, and then you could just make it your own.
I guess, yeah. So a normal day.
Basically,
then.
yes. I mean, yeah, essentially what we're living right now.
So this is the dream. This is the dream.
Nobody said Groundhog Day was the dream, Harry. Quite the opposite.
Okay, fair enough. Well, to be fair, anything sounds better than just editing this podcast on repeat.
Truly, yes. That This film has been made into a horror movie a few times, but nowhere near as terrifying as that. That is the ultimate Groundhog Day horror movie, I think. Certainly for podcasters.
Some films are fine just the way they are. Other films sometimes take it way too far. But really, how bad could it get? Let's go beyond the box set.
Welcome everybody to Beyond the Box Set, the podcast where today we are pitching prequels, sequels and spin-offs to Groundhog Day. We will also be pitching some drinking games and hearing from our listeners with the submissions that they've posted on our Facebook and Twitter pages. But first, we're going to talk about some of our favourite moments and give a bit of a plot summary, which maybe won't take very long with this film, who knows?
No, yeah. Yeah, I'm interested to see what you do with this one.
Yeah. I'm Harry, the host with the most days left to live.
God, these are getting worse and worse. Like
and joining me as always, the host with the most repetitive stories, it is John Lucas.
Screw you.
Well, it's true.
I never repeat my stories, how dare you?
You once pitched the Truman Show twist 2 weeks in a row.
Let it go, that was like 3 years ago.
And every week since. Anyway, yeah, so this is going to be our Groundhog Day season. We're going to do some films, maybe 4 films, I don't know, or films that are all doing the Groundhog Day thing, because everybody knows what that is. So
yeah, I mean,
it's explaining.
It's quite rare to do a film that literally not just defines a genre, but like defines a whole concept. Like,
yeah,
what would you call this before Groundhog Day itself existed?
That one episode of Star Trek Next Generation that did it. Oh,
did they do it first?
Yeah, they did it first.
Okay, but it didn't become a thing, did it?
No,
it didn't
not
become
really.
Like, you know,
I mean, it
common
did
parlance.
It did for Trekkies, but
okay,
we're not all Trekkies.
What's that episode called?
Let me look it up.
But see, the fact that you have to look it up is just proving my point. It didn't become a thing.
Very true. Yeah, it's called Cause and Effect.
Oh, see, that's boring.
Yeah, it was like in the middle of season 5, so like it's decent.
Sure.
It's not like an early episode. And I have seen it. It is a good episode.
Okay.
But, yeah, it doesn't quite have the reach as a Bill Murray comedy.
No one's ever going to say, oh, we're going to do a season on that cause and effect thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does the episode feature at any point Troy saying something along the lines of, I sense that we've done this before?
I'm not sure if it was Troy. I think it was Guinan who was...
who stated the obvious in that episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think. I'm not sure. I meant to watch it today, but I didn't get around to it.
Well, you are very busy.
Yeah. You try having nothing to do. It's quite difficult.
Trust me, I'm well aware.
Okay, so Groundhog Day. Should I do a plot summary?
Go for it, yeah.
Okay, so we pick up with Bill Murray, who is this weather reporter called Phil.
Mm-hmm. Perfectly cast Bill Murray.
He's almost always perfectly cast.
Yeah, that's it. Have you ever watched a Bill Murray movie and not thought, like, literally nobody could do this but Bill Murray?
Yeah.
It's very rare to see him miscast.
He does have a habit of just taking a film and making it his own. Like, taking a role and, like, just letting loose with it.
Yeah, well, I think he can't help himself. I think if you put Bill Murray in a film, it instantly becomes a Bill Murray film.
I think the only director who can control Bill Murray is Wes Anderson.
But he's still doing the Bill Murray thing, right?
Not massively. Like, in these films, like Groundhog Day, he's quite intensely Bill Murray, doing Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Whereas, say, in, like, Moonrise Kingdom or something, he's a bit more subtle. He's got.
But then in those films, in Wes Anderson films, I feel like every character is Bill Murray.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
So I think that's why it's like, in most Bill Murray films, he is Bill Murray among regular people, and he's doing his Bill Murray thing where he's the smartest person in the room, and like, everyone else just annoys him, and he's really deadpan with everything. And everyone else, whatever happens to him, his reaction is completely deadpan, and therein lies the comedy. But in Wes Anderson films, everybody's completely deadpan, and everybody's like a bit too smart for their own good. And so I feel like Bill Murray in Wes Anderson films is just, it fades into the background a little bit because he doesn't have anything to be Bill Murray-ish against.
True, yeah. But yeah, so we pick up with Bill Murray as a weatherman, and we see him doing his weather report. And initially, I didn't realise that he was a weatherman. I thought he was just a guy who walked onto set by mistake.
He's not the first person you think of as somebody who would be a professional weatherman.
No.
You got to think, like, how did he begin this job? Was he once, like, really into it, really enthusiastic, or has he always just been this?
I'm wondering, how did he get this job? Who gave him this job?
Yeah, he doesn't seem good
like,
at it.
Yeah, like, as he started, he must have just been, like, a normal weatherman.
Yeah.
And then just, like, built up a bit of a fan base, and then, like, great, now I can do whatever I want. And he's, like, blowing clouds across the screen and whatever else. Yeah. I think it would actually be very upsetting to watch. Like, really annoying. Just give me the weather. Just tell me the weather. Stop this that you're doing.
What do you mean, all the gesticulations and the, like, comic
Yeah.
riffs that he's doing? Yeah, I think that's more of an American thing. We have more straightforward weather people, I think, in this country. They're not, like, personalities.
Yeah. They can be, but they're more subtle about it.
Yeah, they tend not to be, but yeah, he seemed like he'd be more of a newsreader. Maybe maybe there's a prequel. I don't know. Maybe this is what you've done. I haven't. Maybe there's like a prequel in this where he joins the TV station as this like fresh-faced young reporter, wanting to be like the anchor, the news anchor, but he ends up all he can get is the weather, and then he gets stuck there for like 40 years, and it just makes him incredibly bitter.
Well, isn't he a news reporter as well?
It wasn't clear. Well, yeah, he is doing a lot of
On this
on-camera
channel.
stuff. So yeah.
Yeah.
That is strange. Maybe it's just a small station. They can't afford to do both, but
I guess, yeah.
because normally the weather person is like a proper meteorologist. But no, yeah, I wasn't quite clear of it. It seemed like he was both. But yeah, he's like a small town. Yeah, he's definitely a small fry, but he's got like ideas above his station a little bit.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's building up to February 2nd in the small town of Punxsutawney in somewhere in America.
You can't pronounce any of our listener submissions' names, but Punxsutawney you just rolled right off there without even a hesitation.
I mean, I know that one's got some crazy spelling, but when you know how to say it, you know how to say it.
Fair enough.
It's not a difficult one.
All right.
And they say it about 2 million times in this film.
This is true. Yeah. Save it for the drinking games, we know.
Yeah. Yeah, so in the small town of Punxsutawney, on February 2nd, they celebrate Groundhog Day, which is a real event.
It is, yeah. I was surprised to learn that too.
Yeah. So they get this groundhog out called... 1 second.
It's called Phil, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Because isn't that why they sent him? Because they're both called Phil. And it's like, oh, that's cute.
The groundhog is called Punxsutawney Phil, seer of seers, sage of sages, prognosticator of prognosticators, and weather prophet extraordinary.
Wow.
That is his full name.
Well,
and this is a real groundhog in a real town.
Oh, the groundhog is real as well.
Yeah, no, this is all...
I just thought the basic ceremony was lifted from real life. I didn't know like the whole groundhog lore was... Wow.
Yeah.
So what? But what is a groundhog?
And the groundhog speaks groundhogese. That is also the official language.
Good grief.
I know, right? Dougal wanted a whole episode on it.
Oh, and so that's why you're so well versed on this. Okay, but what is a groundhog though? Because it looked more like it was just a giant squirrel type thing.
Yeah, like a beaver or something. I don't know. I mean, outside of this context, I have no idea what a groundhog is.
No, but when you hear the word groundhog, you would think, well, you'd think of this movie, but you'd also think like pig, right?
Yeah,
I hear groundhog, I think like, oh, it got to be some kind of wild boar, you know?
Mm.
But no, it's just this little chipmunky thing.
Yeah,
why is it a hog? In what sense is it a hog?
It's a fairly big chipmunky thing, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's not a hog.
No. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Well, I wonder if it's like an American species, or if it's... Did Dougal not cover this? Or whether it's like a species that we have, but we call it something else. Like a chipmunk.
Yeah. Well, stop calling it a chipmunk, because a chipmunk's like the size of a mouse, isn't it?
All right, fine. But you know what I mean. Like a chinchilla
This is
or
like the
something.
size of a large rabbit.
Sure, okay.
I have no idea, John. I have no idea if it's American only. I don't know.
Should have done your research, shouldn't you? You knew you were doing this plot summary.
I did some research. Oh my god. I gave you this ridiculous name of the groundhog and told you the language it speaks, and that's not enough for you. God, you're so needy.
That's pretty rudimentary stuff, Harry. Come on, you've got to work harder than that after 4 years.
Anyway, yeah, so Bill Murray and his producer and a cameraman, they all get shipped up to Punxsutawney.
Yes.
Producer is played by Andy McDowell, is it?
That's her, yes.
And the cameraman is played by, I've forgotten his name, but he's played a few characters, such as on Schitt's Creek, he plays Roland Schitt,
Yes.
which is just such a great name.
Yes, he probably... Chris Elliott, the actor, is called.
That's it, yeah.
Yes, but now best known as Roland Schitt from the great show Schitt's Creek. And
Yeah.
Andy McDowell was the go-to girlfriend in 90s rom-coms.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, she was in Four Weddings and a Funeral and Green Card and Multiplicity and... God, what else? So many. Honestly, just name a 90s like rom-com. If it wasn't Julia Roberts, it was probably Andy McDowell. Like, it was basically what she did.
She's backup Julia then.
Essentially, yeah, she was a bit of a budget Julia.
Right, sure.
Although you probably know her best from that film we saw last year. She was the mom in it, the horror movie. Oh, what was it called?
Truth or
Not
Dare,
Mar.
Ready or Not?
Ready or Not. Ready or Not. She was the mom in Ready or Not.
Nice.
Yeah, or the wife, I should say. Yeah.
Sure, yeah. Anyway, they all go up to this very small town and they stay in this B&B, and Bill Murray wakes up to the radio playing I Got You, Babe, which is instantly annoying.
I think you'll mean it's instantly brilliant, like all Cher songs.
Sure.
I have seen it performed live by Cher and a virtual Sunny.
Wow, great, good for you. If you've seen anything that ever does this plot of the days repeating,
Yes.
it always starts off with a song.
Of course it does. It's an easy
Always.
signifier. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's just something about when that's going to happen. Because, like, it happens in so many things now. Like, say, Russian Doll did it. And then sometimes just a random TV show that Community might have done it at some point. I'm not
I'm
sure.
sure it has, yeah.
Oh, they kind of did it with that Darkest Timeline episode. And they always have a musical sting that just kind of starts it off, and then just very specific events afterwards. And you can always kind of tell, like, I think this is about to repeat, isn't it? And then, yep, yeah, it is.
Yeah, you can say it's just a little bit too placed.
Yeah. But that is essentially all that this film is. It's just
Well, yes.
very specific events that are just set up just so they can repeat with slightly different variants.
Yes.
And did you find that now knowing this concept fairly well, that this film was very mundane?
I still think it was really clever. It's been a long time since I've watched it.
Me
but
too.
I thought it holds up.
I'm going to tell you now, I didn't like this.
Really? Okay.
No.
But it was your choice.
I didn't like it, and I didn't like Bill Murray.
Did you ever like this film? Is this your first time watching it?
It's my second time watching it. I don't really remember. I watched it sometime within the last 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
What did you dislike about it?
Like I say, it felt a bit mundane doing this plot, but that is because this was the first major picture to actually do this plot.
Sure, yeah.
I get it. But like I said, there's a lot of occurrences where, like say, he takes a woman out on a date and he gets a question wrong.
Yeah.
Or, you know, he does a thing wrong, and then that's ruined the evening. And so then the next scene, the instant next scene, they repeat the whole last, like, 5-minute scene or whatever, but just he does that one thing differently. And it gets very boring very quickly. Or like the piano lessons, for example. You see way too many piano lessons. It's very easy for us, the viewer, to get the concept. Okay, we get it. He just repeats it and learns it. He learns the piano. Great.
Yeah.
You don't need to show us him learning the piano.
I guess. I think
Or show us him, like, refining the perfect date. Like, we get it. He has unlimited time. He can work out the perfect date.
But it has to kind of put you in his headspace for it to work, though.
In bits, yeah, but I just feel there's a lot that could be cut.
Sure. I mean, it's not that long. It's only just over an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It's not a long film. I think I really appreciate that it is so simple. I love that you never know why it's happening. They don't make any attempt to explain why it's happening. It's just, I guess, it's magic. Like, there's no question of like why he's trapped in this situation.
Yeah.
And also, the situation doesn't develop at all. It is the situation until the end of the film when he gets out of it. Like, there's no like mid-film twist or anything. Like, oh my god, someone else is trapped in this as well. You know, I feel like if it was made today, that they'd do more.
Well, yeah, they have done. Like, look at Russian Doll, for example.
Well, exactly, yes, because also...
There is literally that. There is somebody else trapped in this.
Well, exactly, yeah. So, there you go. Yeah, and exactly,
Yeah.
this film's been, like, riffed on a million times, as we will discover as we continue this season. But no, I didn't find it mundane. I will say I thought the love story, which is, like, the main plot, it's a shame they didn't find a way to make her particularly interesting in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, she really wasn't very well written, and I think a lot of the reason why I don't like this film is that Bill Murray just kind of comes across as creepy.
Yes, he does. There's a lot of she said no already. Yeah.
I feel like the aim of Bill Murray in this film is like, okay, how do I sleep with Andy McDowell?
Yeah, basically.
That's his mission in this film. That's literally it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the getting out of the repeating day cycle, he does seemingly by accident.
Well, sure, I think he's resigned himself to the fact that he's trapped and that he's just trying to find ways to make it bearable. But yes, a lot of that does involve manipulating Andy McDowell into having sex with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's
and then that becomes the bulk of the plot.
Yes.
Like, we spend about a third of the plot of him going about his day. So back to the plot summary. He wakes up in the B&B. He meets up with a few other residents, meets the owner of the place, goes down to the Groundhog Day celebration in the park, and watches as they get the groundhog out. They speak to him, and the groundhog says, "Oh, well, spring's going to start in 3 weeks or whatever." Mm-hmm. And he reports it.
The groundhog doesn't actually speak, just to be clear. It's like a man pretends that the groundhog is whispering to him.
The groundhog actually speaks, John. It's not pretend. This is real.
All right, but we don't hear his voice, is what I'm saying.
Sure. Whose voice would he have?
The groundhog. I would hope
Ian
Bill
McKellen.
Ian McKellen. Yes, Ian McKellen will be a good voice for groundhog.
This February 2nd at 7:20 and 30 seconds, Punxsutawney Phil, the seer of seers, prognosticator of prognosticators, emerged reluctantly but alertly in Punxsutawney, PA, and stated in Groundhogese, "I definitely see a shadow." Sorry, folks. 6 more weeks of winter.
On me in 3, 2, 1. This is one time where television really fails to capture the true excitement of a large squirrel predicting the weather. I, for one, am very grateful to have been here. From Punxsutawney, this is Phil Connors. So long.
Well, there's a few other things that happen in Bill Murray's day. Like, say, on the way to the park, he meets up with, what's his name, Tobolowsky?
That's the actor, right?
Yeah. The insurance guy.
Ned Ryerson is the character's name.
Sure.
The insurance guy.
Is it Stephen Tobolowsky? I don't know, he's kind of famous. Yeah, and he is instantly really annoying. Mm-hmm. But, I mean,
cartoonishly so.
Sorry?
He's cartoonishly annoying.
Yeah.
Like, he's playing that character as if that character is a cartoon.
Yeah.
Which works, it's very funny, but everybody else in this film is playing it at quite a low level, and just that one character is literally like an animation. Even to the point when he gets punched at one point, and he does the way he falls over is just so cartoon. Like, his whole head twists around, and he falls down sideways.
Yeah, so I just keep remembering just little bits of this, because that's kind of what this film is. I mean, you do get introduced to pretty much everybody right away, but they don't all become relevant right away.
Sure.
It's difficult to remember who becomes relevant when. Like, for example, say, the old homeless man.
Oh, yeah, he's in the background a lot, and then he only comes into the foreground towards the end.
He becomes a 5-minute plot line about 2/3 in.
Yes.
Where Bill Murray tries twice to save his life and then gives up.
Yes.
It
was his time.
It's a weird plot that I didn't really feel the right level of closure on that.
Well, I don't know what closure you need on that, though. I think it's just that, yeah, it's one of the many things he tries that he realises he doesn't have any control over, I guess.
Yeah, but I don't feel like we really got much of a scene of Bill Murray realizing that, like, oh, some people just die.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's true.
It's too late. It's too late.
It did
for some
feel a little
people.
bit. Yeah,
Like
it did
the
feel a
nurse
little bit
told
dramatic.
him. The nurse told him, "Oh, it's his time. Like he
Yeah.
just died. It's his time." And then Bill Murray tries once more, and then we never see him again.
I mean, you were just complaining that we saw the piano lessons too many times, and now you're complaining that we didn't see the man trying to have his life saved enough times.
True, but I think that that's a more interesting story than Bill Murray just trying to sleep with Andy McDowell.
This is true. Yeah, if that was like the whole movie.
Yeah, if the movie was Bill Murray just trying to make this old man just live one more day,
Yeah, like
just
maybe he
survive
befriends
through the
the
day,
old man a bit.
that'd
Yeah,
be. Or if that was just a side plot that he succeeded in at the end, like on the last day,
yeah.
he made that guy live, and he banged Andy McDowell, and he lived happily ever after.
Sure.
It would just
No,
be
you're right.
a bit more something. Like the old man plot just really felt like they shoehorned it in and then just forgot about it.
No, I think you're right. To be fair, the Andy McDowell plot is definitely given a little bit too much of this. It is the entire movie, basically. So yeah, they could have like spaced things out a little bit more. I agree. I'll give you that.
Yeah. I've been talking loads and I've not really been very linear with what I'm saying. Have you got anything to say, John?
So where are we at with the plot summary?
The days have started repeating, and so like it's difficult to do a plot summary from here.
Sure. So the basic structure of the film is that he keeps waking up every morning. He hears the same Sonny and Cher song, and he lives through this exact same day again. And he's the only person who knows.
Yeah.
Nobody else realizes they're trapped in a time loop.
Yeah.
In fact, is everyone else trapped in a time loop?
Yeah. I mean, I think you're technically say that he is trapped in a time loop, but yeah.
Well, this is the thing. This film, because I really got to. It's one of those films that you could really like. The more you think about it, the more deep into like the rabbit hole you could go. But like, are they actually in a time loop, or are they just like ceasing to exist at the end of every day?
I think there's multiple options here. Like, they're in a time loop. They could be ceasing to exist. I've had listener submissions that each day is a new parallel universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's loads of different options. I did have one listener submission that I tried to expand myself, which was that switch it round. So everybody else is repeating the same day, but Bill Murray's stuck in the same day. But then that's kind of the same thing, even though it's the opposite. It's really confusing.
So everyone else is trapped in the same day in the town, and he's the only one who doesn't realise.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
It's weird because it's kind of the exact same plot, but also the exact opposite at the same time.
Sure. Well, the bit that kind of made
Depends
me
how you
think
think
about
about
it. The bit that made me think about this was in the middle of the movie. There's a section when he becomes suicidal and he kills himself in a variety of different ways, right?
Yeah, that's a weird one. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this movie goes to some very dark places for a comedy.
Yeah.
But there's one.
I nearly went down that route halfway into my sequel, and I was just because the first one did it, and so I kind of went into that, and then like, this isn't fun at all.
Just bleak, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the same for this. Like, it's not fun when he tries to kill himself in various different ways. It's like,
I mean, the first time it's
why
funny.
am I
After
watching
that, it's
this?
just disturbing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I liked it when he was like, say, when he was fearless and he was doing car chases and like
sure.
driving along the train track and the train's coming towards him, that sort of thing.
Why did the police car start driving on the train tracks as well?
I don't know. I mean, it's a 90s comedy, John. It's not set in realism.
No,
the Groundhog's real.
The Groundhog's real. Everything else
don't
is...
dispute that. But the police completely made up in this.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, I think the bit that really made me like go into a whole like brain loop with this whole thing was I kind of assumed that when his consciousness ends, like when he falls asleep at the end of the day, it loops back around to the same day again, right?
Yeah.
But on one of his suicide attempts, but they're all successful. On one of his suicides, I think one of the early ones, we see him kill himself, and then we see Andy McDowell and Chris Elliott go to the morgue and identify his body.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, are they just like particularly on these suicide days, are they just having to live through this day where they're like, oh wow, this was a horrid day, my boss killed himself, it was awful.
Yeah.
And then they just like live through that day, have a very bleak old time of it, and then just like turn in for bed and like, God, what a shit day. And then that's it. and then it just loops around again. Like,
I guess, yeah. I don't know. It's very unclear, but that's not necessarily a bad thing for this film.
No, it's not a flaw. It's just I found it really interesting. I started really like thinking about it, and like also, how long do you think he was trapped? How long did this go on?
It doesn't specify, but he becomes very good at the piano.
This is what I'm thinking. It's like hundreds, if not thousands, of years.
Well, I was thinking more like hundreds of days, but...
Well, how long do you think it takes to become fluent in the piano and to become an ice sculpture expert?
I don't know. I mean, you could argue that he just learnt that one tune on the piano.
One tune incredibly well, yeah.
Like maybe, just to kind of be, to under-exaggerate. I don't know what the opposite of the word for exaggerate is. To under-exaggerate, maybe he just learnt that one tune. Maybe that'd take a few months just to learn that very well.
Okay.
Sculpting ice, maybe he can just do the one sculpture.
I don't know if that's the same thing, but sure.
No, I don't know either.
But they say it takes 10,000 hours to become proficient at anything.
Okay.
Like, learning a language or learning a skill. They say if you do it for 10,000 hours, you'll be, a master at it.
So does that mean that you're proficient in Animal Crossing then?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
You've seen my village.
I have not seen your village, and I never will, John. Well, basically, this film kind of finishes when he's basically given up on trying to do have the ultimate day and the ultimate date, but there are some things that he's stuck doing. Like, for example, he can't just let the kid fall out of the tree to his death.
Yeah, well, maybe he has on previous occasions, but at a certain point he starts catching him.
Yeah. I think there's some things just kind of become instinctual to him.
Yeah.
Like, say, catching the kid at, 3:30 in the afternoon or whatever, meeting up with the old ladies who've just got a puncture and sorting out their car for them.
Well, no, all of that comes with his redemption, because I think he goes through phases in this film. It's like it's like the phases of grief or something. It's like he starts off with confusion and he lashes out at people. Then he goes to like enjoying it, like he gets really self-indulgent. He's like smoking all the time and eating these ridiculously huge meals because he knows he's got no consequences for anything he does, and he's taking these huge risks with driving his car. Like you said, he becomes a thrill seeker, and then he starts focusing on trying to get with Andy McDowell, and then that doesn't work because every time he tries to manipulate her by like learning all the things that she likes to make her have the perfect date, she always clocks that she's being manipulated and ends up slapping him and walking out.
Yeah. And
then he goes through a phase of when he really realizes that there might be no end to this and he might be trapped forever, and then he becomes very bleak, and that's when he starts killing himself over and over again. And then at the end he just starts like he reaches acceptance and he starts just trying to actually be a good person.
Right. Okay,
And I think I interpreted it not that I don't think it's that sex with Andy McDowell sets him free, because he does sleep with her on one occasion, doesn't he? And then it still loops back around.
Does he? I didn't think he did.
There was that when he reads poetry to her or something, or maybe they don't have sex. I don't know.
There was I've forgotten her name. The one from the diner, who he pretended to. Oh, did we go to high school together? Were we in that class?
Oh, he definitely had sex with other people. But yeah, no, I feel like it was him becoming a good person was what ultimately like released him from the curse.
Right.
He works with the whole community, just becomes a good person, and that's what makes Andy McDowell finally fall for him. Not because he's learnt every little thing that she likes and engineered a perfect date for her, but because he's actually just being a better version of himself.
Right. Okay.
I think that's like the moral of the film.
It's not great for her, though, is it?
No, well, I did think he's going to get bored of her very quickly when this is all over.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You don't get the sense that they're really like kindred spirits, and I think that's the problem.
No.
She should have her own quirks. I think it's that 90s movie thing where the girlfriend or the female love interest usually is incredibly bland and doesn't have anything about themselves, whereas now, most of the time at least, they'll at least have their own personality quirks to kind of complement the male leads. Whereas she
her main
really
characteristic is that she is a woman. Bill Murray knows her.
Yeah, she's a nice lady, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, there's no sense of why he's even attracted to her, apart from the fact that she's a very beautiful woman. But like, personality-wise, it's just like, oh, yeah, she's here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a love story for the ages, definitely, I'll give you that.
Certainly not,
No.
No.
You love me.
I love you.
You don't even know me.
Oh, I know you. I know you.
Oh no, I can't believe I fell for this. This whole day has just been one long setup.
No, it hasn't.
And I hate fudge. Yuck.
No white chocolate, no fudge.
What are you doing? Are you making some kind of list or something?
No.
Did you call up my friends and ask them what I like and what I don't like?
No.
Is this what love is for you?
No, this is real. This is love.
Stop saying that. You must be crazy. I could never love someone like you, Phil, because you'll never love anyone but yourself.
That's not true. I don't even like myself. Give me another chance.
That's for making me care about you.
You got much more else you want to say about this?
No, not really. I guess it just kind of ends when he becomes a better person, and the curse is lifted, and him and Andy McDowell wander off into the snow together on February the 3rd at last.
What's the moral of this?
Like I said, just be a better person.
Just be good.
Isn't that the moral of most films?
Yeah, but this one really feels like it's trying to give a moral. It's like, hey, you're stuck in this curse, and you get out of it by being good.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's about what you can do with the time that you have.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah. Like, if you had all the time in the world, would you be a better person, or would you just be the same person?
Yeah, okay, that's an interesting way of thinking of it.
That's how I thought about it, yeah. I
Sure.
mean, I don't think it's like it's a rom-com, it's a comedy. I don't think it's like... this is a film that's had lots of things written about it. A lot of philosophical theories have been written about this film. So, it is there, but I don't know that it's like trying to say that much, in the grand scheme of things.
Like, you say it's a rom-com. Now, we've talked about how romantic it is or isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Is it funny?
Yeah,
Did you find this funny?
Not like laugh out loud hilarious, but I found it entertaining.
I found it loosely entertaining. I was expecting something a lot more heartwarming.
Really? Well, again, I think it's hard to be heartwarming when it's Bill Murray.
I've read... Bill Murray can really do heartwarming.
In what?
Or just, like, fun comedy.
He can certainly do fun comedy, but I don't know if heartwarming
Something that's like
is
a
his bag.
family classic, like Ghostbusters, for example.
How is that heartwarming?
Maybe heartwarming's the wrong thing, but, like, just, like, a classic. And, that, like...
Yeah.
What am I saying here? Just something that is a guaranteed fun time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's what Bill Murray films normally are.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least the comedies that he does.
Mm-hmm.
This one just didn't really feel like that at all. A lot of it feels a bit boring and repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's kind of its thing, but that's not necessarily a good thing.
Okay. No, I think I would describe this film as like it more interesting than like there weren't a lot of real laugh out loud moments for me. You're right. It didn't really go to a hugely hilarious thing, but it made me think a lot, and I found it. I always find it to be interesting, just because it's an interesting idea. It's very rare to see a film that is like an idea that hasn't really been explored before, except in some Star Trek episode. But
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like watching it now, it's been done so many times now that this is not the best version of itself, and it wasn't even the first version of itself.
All right, fair enough. Well, wow, big old shit on Groundhog Day then.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was expecting a bit better from just the film that kind of set the standard for something that already existed.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's always the way when you see a film that's hyped that much. You're always going to find it underwhelming.
I suppose, yeah.
Are you saying this is like the Citizen Kane of comedy?
Ooh. Of comedy. I'm not sure about of comedy, but of like
90s
whatever we're
comedy
calling
starring
these
Bill
films,
Murray.
repeating films.
Yeah.
I'd say maybe this is the Citizen Kane of that, in
Yeah.
that it's boring and I don't like it.
Great. That is a true like compliment sandwich right there. It's just like Citizen Kane.
No, it's a backhanded compliment.
Backhanded compliment, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Should we move on to drinking games?
Go for it, yeah.
Drink for suicide.
Wow, that's a cheery one, but yes. He does
Hey, I didn't write this.
No, you didn't. That's true.
This romantic comedy with loads of suicide in it.
Well, that's what makes it interesting to me. Like, he goes to these weird places that like a regular comedy just wouldn't touch. But
yeah, sure.
Yeah, when he's like describing all the ways he's killed himself, like we see a few. We see him crash his car. We see him step in front of a moving truck. We see him jump off a tall building. But then he also says, I've been stabbed, I've been hung, I've been burned. I was like, good grief, on what day did you decide to just set yourself on fire?
Yeah.
Like, that is horrendous.
I can, not that I would, but I can understand, the interest of like, hey, if I can just live every day, no matter what, then like, yeah, maybe I will jump off a tall building and have an instant death from a height.
Sure.
But like, slowly burnt to death, being stabbed.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's crazy. And also, I kept thinking there's got to be days, when the suicide attempt wasn't instant death. And you had to spend the rest of the 24 hours just in horrible, agonising pain.
Yeah, being stabbed. Like, where were you stabbed? Was it in the stomach? That'll probably take a while to kill you.
Yeah, you'd have to fully bleed out. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bleak if you think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So yeah, drink through
for suicide.
Drink through that whole segment, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I had drink for horrible 90s fashion.
Oh, okay.
Of which this movie was definitely a strong purveyor.
I liked the insurance guy's outfit.
With the suit. I don't understand why nothing we used to wear in the 90s would fit. Why was everything too big?
I don't get it. No,
it's so weird.
Doesn't make any sense.
It wasn't even like, because I get it, like some people even to this day will wear like very oversized clothing as a fashion statement. Like cargo pants or something, that's a statement. But just it seems like everyone just wore everything just one size too big. No, it's weird. Like, even Bill Murray's stuff, it just looks baggy and weird.
The 90s were a very baggy time.
They were, and Andie MacDowell, as beautiful as she is, with the clothes, just these horrible waistcoats and so much denim. Everything was denim. Like, yeah. Just drink every time you look at a item of clothing and go, oh, nobody would wear that now.
Yeah. Drink whenever he learns a new skill.
Okay.
For example, how to step over a puddle.
that's how you're defining a new skill. Learning to step over a puddle.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or like when he learns something about somebody, like learns
I was thinking more like becomes a
whatever.
piano virtuoso or an ice sculptor. But no, we're also learning to step over a puddle. That's a skill. 10,000 hours again,
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Drink for dodgy driving sequences.
What do you mean?
Like,
green
the classic.
screen, or?
What? Yeah, well, I don't know if it would have been green screen at the time, but yeah, I love a driving sequence in a movie. And this had some very good ones because there's lots of Bill Murray driving with a groundhog in his hand and trying to pretend that he's driving. Or the sequence when they're on the train tracks was really funny to me because it did not look good.
Yeah.
It was very much, we are sat on a studio and someone's like rocking the car from the side and we're just like, trying to look like we're speeding down a rail track.
Yeah, that's always entertaining.
Yeah. No, very of its time driving sequences in this film.
Drink for every time it repeats.
Yeah, well, every time a new day starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently I did look up the trivia. Obviously, it never says how many days he spends in this situation in total, but in the film we see at least 38 distinct days. So
okay. So at least a month.
Yes, at least
but
a month.
Probably a lot more.
Yes, yeah. No, you've got to think he was in there at least for a few decades because it really seems to have profoundly affected him. Drink every time you see or hear the name Gobbler's Knob.
Do you enjoy that?
I did like that, yes. Is it the town's called Gobbler's Knob or is it just the part of the town?
I think it's
the town's
the park or something.
The park is called Gobbler's Knob, yes. That was a
Gobbler's Knob.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Drink for the groundhog, and that's the last one I got.
Drink for the... Yeah. Did you know it was a real groundhog? It wasn't a puppet. And in the driving sequence, when Bill Murray's having to pretend to drive, the actual groundhog bit him so hard that he had to go to hospital.
Really?
Yeah, he got horribly badly bitten. Like,
oh dear.
And it didn't even look good. It wasn't even a good shot. So
no, it was awful.
Yeah. So yeah, very good. I just had drink every time a new character is introduced.
Yeah.
Because obviously the world is unchanging.
Oh yeah, of course.
When they loop in a new character into the mix, it's kind of interesting, I think. And also drink for clock shots.
Yes.
Obviously time. There's clocks everywhere in this film just to make you see that time has stopped. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
sure, I like it.
Cool. Yeah, some good drinking games for this one.
Yeah. So, if you've enjoyed me and John talking about Groundhog Day repetitively for the past half hour or whatever, then, maybe you feel like saying thank you to us. If you do want to say thank you, you can go to patreon.com/beyondtheboxset, where you can support me and John for as much or a little as you think we're worth. If you do, you get a few bonus features, such as a bonus show where every now and then me and John will review a film. We're about to do some reviews for Onward and The Little Shop of Horrors, which was a request from a listener. Because right now, cinemas are not open, so we're just doing requests for any old film.
Yes, anything you like.
Don't need to be a Patreon to send in a request, just get in touch with us on Facebook or Twitter and we'll review your film for you. Also, if you become Patreon, you get extended versions of the main show. You also get an exclusive Facebook group, you get 30-second advert slots on the main show, and you get to choose an episode every now and then. So, plenty to go at. All of that is at patreon.com/beyondtheboxset. Okay, and before we get to our sequels, just want to remind you all that I do a quiz every Friday evening, live on YouTube at 8 p.m. British time. This last quiz I did was Marvel. That went down very well. Loads of people.
Millions, yeah.
Yeah, like 8 billion people turned up. It was fantastic.
More people than actually exist in this world. That's how
Yeah,
popular it was,
YouTube crashed. It didn't know how to deal with that many people all at once.
Yeah.
It was a popular quiz, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah, so this Friday I've decided to follow with another popular quiz. It's going to be Lord of the Rings. So if you're a fan of Middle-earth or J.R.R. Tolkien, tune in this Friday at 8 p.m. and, bring your best Lord of the Rings knowledge.
Let's see, Alex. What do you think of Jaws, which is at 97% Rotten Tomatoes?
I find it to be anti-shark propaganda. What do you feel about the Entourage movie, which is at a meager 33%?
I think they finally got Hollywood right. How about It Follows, 97%?
Worse than your parents giving you the sex is evil talk. How do you feel about Juno, which is at 94%?
That would be a movie that celebrates a teenage homewrecker. How about Bewitched at 25%?
Best television adaptation ever put to film. How do you feel about American Hustle at a towering 93%?
Overwrought awards bait. Righteous Kill, 19%.
The movie that Michael Mann wishes he had made when he created Heat.
Sounds about right. I'm Julio.
I'm Alex, and we are the Contrarians.
As you can tell, our thing is that we rage against the Rotten Tomatoes machine.
Regardless of what we really feel.
Find us on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn.
Facebook, Twitter, we're everywhere.
This is all that is.
Okay, and now we've got all the plugging out the way. Let's go on some sequels. So, John, what have you got first?
So, my idea this week is an idea I'm surprised hasn't happened. As far as I could tell, this hasn't been done yet, but maybe I'm wrong. So, by all means, jump in if this has already been, if this is already a thing. I was kind of thinking about the way this movie's set up and how the fact that it just happens on a everyday, normal, boring kind of day means that even though it's a really boring town, he can kind of do anything, right? Like, he's got a completely blank slate. So I just kind of thought, like, well, what would be, if you were, like, you asked me at the beginning of this episode, like, if you were going to be thrust into a Groundhog Day situation, what would you want and what would you not want? I was saying, what would be the absolute worst day to be stuck in Groundhog Day?
A hangover.
No, not a hangover. Not like just specifically. I was thinking about, like, specifically what day.
Okay. Christmas Eve.
Close. Christmas Day.
Okay.
Yeah, I've made Groundhog Day a Christmas movie.
Okay, sure.
Because, yeah, Christmas Day, lovely once in a while, but can you imagine if every day was Christmas Day? Can you imagine how hellish that would be?
Yeah, that'd be pretty rough.
There is literally nothing to do. You can't, everything is closed. Everyone is expected to be exclusively with their families and no one else.
And super happy.
And super happy. You have to be super happy, yeah. All the TV is shite. I think that would be the worst kind of Groundhog Day hell, to be stuck in Christmas Day forever. So that's basically my premise. So I'm thinking it's probably not worth bringing Bill Murray back for this.
Okay.
I think it's just the sequel is in the concept rather than the characters.
Yeah.
But I was thinking it could be set in the same town. Maybe just like, it could just be like an unspoken thing, but maybe like this town has like some kind of magic to it that causes these things.
So I always liked the idea that the groundhog is actually the thing that has caused the the apparition in time. Mm-hmm. Like, it placed a curse on Bill Murray or something. So we could still go with that, really. But, like, the groundhog, for whatever reason that maybe you'll get to, has decided today is the day.
Yeah, we can work that in. That's fine. But I'm thinking it's a modern sequel, so let's say it's vaguely set around the now. It's going to have to star, like, a vaguely Bill Murray-ish type, I guess.
Okay, have you got someone in mind?
No, I was thinking, like, there isn't really much of a Bill Murray type. He's so distinctive. And then I was thinking, well, who would be in this film? And if this film did get made today, all I could think of was it would probably be, like, Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a damning indictment of where we are with comedy stars right now. I find him quite annoying. But if he promises to rein it in and not go, like, full Ryan Reynolds, then, you know, if he just tamps it down a bit and doesn't do the whole Deadpool thing, then I can see this working for him.
Yeah.
Potentially.
No, I think that you've cast that very, I'm not going to say very well, but very realistically.
Yes, exactly. He'd be the kind of guy who would be in this. Because I'm thinking he as well as being like a Bill Murray type, he's also playing a classic big city kind of type. Like, you know, so we open with him, and he's this guy, and he's probably like late 30s or whatever age Ryan Reynolds is these days.
Or
living in New York.
He pretends to be.
Well, exactly, yes. Living in New York, like the big city. He's a classic big city guy. He's got a lucrative office job, you know. He's a slave to the rat race. Lives alone in like a New York apartment.
Is he on Wall Street or something?
Something like that, yeah. Something incredibly cliched and generic, yes.
Yeah.
And it's Christmas, obviously. And he is planning, once again, to spend Christmas in the city. That's what he likes to do, because this is a character who hates anything sentimental. He hates Christmas. He's a workaholic. He just lives for his job and precious little else. And so his plan is to just stay at home for Christmas. And maybe we'll open with him, you know, explaining why he can't go home for Christmas again this year. He's just too busy. There's too much work on. But actually, he just doesn't want to.
Yeah.
But then his plans get interrupted by a sequence of unfortunate events. I'm thinking maybe he's got a girlfriend who dumps him for being, you know, too much of a workaholic or not romantic enough, or you know, something about him essentially.
Yeah.
Also,
who's the girlfriend?
She's not important. Doesn't matter.
Cameo? J-Lo.
J-Lo, sure. I mean, J-Lo's worth more than a cameo.
Yeah, but as Ryan Reynolds' girlfriend?
She could still do better. She's J-Lo, but...
Well, exactly,
sure,
she
okay.
could do better.
What?
Exactly, she could do better.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Oh, I don't know. Carry on.
It doesn't matter. Truly, she's not important whatsoever to this plot. So yeah, he breaks up with his girlfriend. All of his friends are visiting their families for Christmas, so there's no one around. And he finds out that his building is being fumigated.
Oh, okay.
Because you know, like how in New York all the buildings have like really bad bed bugs and stuff because it's so polluted, apparently.
Yeah.
So, and I'm thinking like, yeah, he finds out his building's being fumigated, and they're like, well, we're doing it now because nobody stays around here for Christmas. It's the perfect time to do it. Everyone's home with the family. No one wants to be here for Christmas. And he's
so
like,
is he forced to go somewhere for Christmas then?
Essentially what I'm saying is he's forced to go somewhere for Christmas.
Yeah.
Because he can't stay home. So he very reluctantly calls his parents back and says, guess what, Mom? I'm coming home for Christmas. So, you know, his mum's obviously over the moon. He's not been back for like several years. He's always made excuses. And he drives back to a small town, which is the small town, coincidentally, of... What was it again? Poughkeepsie? Pennsatucky? Punxsutawney, okay.
Did you say it like 2 million times in this film?
Okay, fine. Punxsutawney. So he drives back home to a small town, and I'm thinking this is that classic small American town. It seems like the kind of place where they would go crazy for Christmas.
Yeah.
In that very American way, like that film Survive. What was that film we did with Jamie Lee Curtis? The terrible one. Was it Surviving Christmas or
Christmas with the Cranks?
Christmas with the Cranks. Yeah, Christmas with the Cranks. It's that kind of place, you know, a proper Christmas-obsessed little small town. And he's obviously Grinching it up to the max. So there's going to be plastic reindeer everywhere and classic Christmas songs piping out of every storefront and everything that he hates. So yeah, he goes home, he says hello to his mum and dad, and he immediately goes to the nearest bar to just kind of hide out in and meet some old friends. You know, we're world building. We see some friends of his who he went to school with, who he's not really kept in touch with. Maybe some of them have never left the town, so he looks down on them a bit because he feels like they've not really, you know, he sees them as kind of just small town rubes when he's obviously living this big city life. And I think he's also obviously going to have to run into his old high school crush, who's going to be just some pretty lady. I don't know. This could be J-Lo. This could be a J-Lo role. The actual romantic lead. But yeah, and he's going to be like, oh, I guess you got dragged back in here too. And she'll be like, no, I come back every year. I love Christmas. So again, it's like setting up the dynamic between him as the Grinch and her as the sweet spirit of Christmas. So
Yeah. Is he the Grinch or is he Scrooge?
he's both, and yet neither. He's just a guy who doesn't like Christmas.
Okay, cool.
I'm just using Grinch and Scrooge as like shorthand, but yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, he has his Christmas Eve, reintroducing himself, meeting up with these characters that are going to kind of drive the plot, and then he's going to wake up on Christmas Day. And the alarm clock, much like the original where it played Sonny and Cher, it's got to be playing like the most annoying Christmas song.
The most annoying Christmas song. Santa Claus is coming to town.
That could work, yeah. I was thinking maybe a Paul McCartney one, like Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time. Yeah,
That's a
one
good
of
one.
those.
That's
Yeah.
a good one. Yeah. Oh, I'm thinking of one that's really good. Oh, what is it?
Really good or really bad?
Really bad. Oh, I think I've forgotten the lyrics. I just need to check real quick. It'll be worth it if I'm right.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, the song's called I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day.
Oh yes, sure. The one that starts off with "It's Christmas."
Yeah.
Actually, that could work because that's a really
Well,
good.
I wish it could be Christmas every day.
Yes, well, that would be very annoying to wake up to every morning for eternity, which is what I'm thinking here.
Yeah.
So yeah, he wakes up to that, and he's immediately off to a bad start when he realizes that he's forgotten to buy any presents for anyone. So that makes things very awkward, over the present exchange when he has to reveal that he didn't buy anyone anything.
Mm-hmm.
Then he takes the dog for a walk, like the family dog. I'm thinking the family's probably got this like old Labrador that's like 15 years old or something. And I'm thinking like the dog refuses to go anywhere because there's snow all over the ground and it's freezing. He has to like drag the dog around the block, and it's just really annoying. And that makes him even more like wet and pissed off. Maybe this is where you can bring in the groundhog. Maybe like the only time the dog actually rouses itself is to like chase the groundhog.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Which, arouses the wrath of the groundhog, maybe. So then he trudges back into the house. He's wet, he's pissed off, he's tired. And his whole extended family's come over for Christmas dinner. All the annoying cousins, aunties, uncles, everyone. House is full. So he has this horrible Christmas where he maybe gets into like a political argument with like an uncle or something. And his cousins are really obnoxious, and everyone's asking about his life and stuff, and it's just making him really uncomfortable. All the Christmas nightmares we've all had from time to time. Maybe his mom asks him to set a timer and he forgets, and so she burns the turkey, and so the meal's ruined. And it's just a horrible, horrible Christmas because he's got such a bad attitude about it. Yeah. And he ends up storming out, spending his night alone in a bar, the only bar that's open in town. Mm-hmm. And as he's staggering back at the end of the night, he slips on some ice and bangs his head. And then we wake up again the next day with, "It's Christmas." And the cycle begins to repeat.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, much like the original Groundhog Day, I'm just thinking it can like loop round over and over again. And so it'll start with him like not understanding why it's Christmas Day again. And he's confused and he's lashing out at people, and then he realizes it's true, and then maybe he goes through phases of like doing crazy stuff, like he just like burns down the Christmas tree in the village centre, and he does all the things he wants to do, but like really bad things, like he beats up the Santa Claus, for example. Maybe there's like a Santa Claus grotto. He beats up the guy in the Santa suit, burns down the tree. Maybe on Christmas dinner he like laces the stuffing with laxatives, so all his annoying cousins and uncles have to go just basically shit themselves. I'm just thinking that he goes through all those phases. He's obviously going to try and win the girl as well by pretending that he loves Christmas and becoming the most Christmassy person there ever was. Mm-hmm. That doesn't work, and it's going to end with him getting slapped a lot, much like the original. And yeah, I'm thinking maybe we could have Bill Murray in as a cameo, as like, because he's quite old now, he could be like the homeless man.
Okay,
he could be, or a homeless man, And maybe maybe there's a night when he's been stuck there for like thousands of years, or whatever, and he's sat and he's tried the whole suicide thing, but all the suicide attempts have been Christmassy suicides. He's tried to impale himself on some candy canes and some, he's flung himself out of Santa's sleigh. I'm just thinking you could make it a lot funnier by making it, Christmas suicides. What could be funnier than that,
Sure.
Jumped off the roof of the church,
Yeah.
But maybe one night
Trampled by reindeer.
Trampled by reindeer, exactly. It writes, crushed by presents, writes itself. But yeah, maybe one night after all this time, he's just sat in the bar again and he's completely broken. Like he realizes he's trapped forever and he can't figure out what to do, and he's just drowning his sorrows. And maybe like there's just some random old drunk sat at the end of the bar, and maybe that drunk is Bill Murray. And maybe he'll give him like some cryptic words of wisdom that will make you realize, oh, maybe it's the same guy.
Is Bill Murray going to have a big white beard?
Of course.
Okay, cool. Just checking.
I mean, I'm not saying he's Santa, but...
No. You never would say that he's Santa, but just like... Just he's got a beard. That's all that matters.
Sure. Well, he could be Santa, or he could just be the Bill Murray from the original film. It's connections.
Yeah. We'll just leave it open.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm thinking that maybe Bill Murray gives him some cryptic words of advice that kind of inspire him to keep trying to be better. And maybe he similar to the original, he kind of learns his old crush's routine and manages to spend a lot more time with her. And maybe there's a version where he actually manages to get himself invited around to her house for Christmas dinner by pretending he has nowhere to go or something. And so he spends Christmas with her family, and they all love Christmas, and they're all very loving, and it's very wholesome, and it's full of the spirit of Christmas. And he manages to charm them. All of her family really like him, and it's a lovely romantic thing. And the night ends, he walks home, there's a kiss, and maybe they even have sex. Maybe he even gets laid. It's a Christmas miracle.
Yeah.
But he still doesn't break the cycle. The next day he wakes up and it's still Christmas Day, and he's like, God damn it, I did everything. What else can I do? And then what he eventually realizes is that Christmas isn't about getting laid. Christmas is about family. And the one thing he hasn't done is actually spend Christmas with his own family, and actually, in a positive way. So how he finally breaks the cycle is to actually, creep out the window first thing in the morning, go find some presents from somewhere, make sure he doesn't burn the Christmas dinner, is nice to his relatives, gives his mum a happy day, basically. And so she's, at the end of the day, she says, this has been the best Christmas ever, the mom. And maybe she has a little cry, emotional moments. And then, finally, the next day, he wakes up and it's Boxing Day. So,
Yeah.
So you find
that's a cute end.
Yeah, exactly. I'm amazed this film doesn't exist, to be honest. It seems
Christmas,
like a no-brainer.
Groundhog Day kind of film.
Yeah, it seems like a no-brainer for a Christmas movie.
Yeah, you're right, yeah. You should pitch that, John.
Maybe I should, because...
more than just to me, pitch it to someone.
Yeah, as soon as I thought of it, I was like, that's got to be a thing already, right? Yeah.
It's obvious. Would you try and do it, would you have your sights set quite high? Like, you try and go for quite a highbrow Christmas movie? Or would you aim for more this is the latest Netflix fad?
Oh, it's December? Pure Christmas schlock. It's pure, it is.
I mean, all good Christmas movies are, don't get me wrong. But, are you going for, the Santa Claus with Tim Allen, or are you going for the Princess Switch?
Oh, no, it's definitely more of a Santa Claus type movie, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's a step above the Princess Switch.
Right.
It's not complete trash,
Okay, sorry I suggested it. Wow.
So, yeah. That was a very Groundhog Christmas.
A very Groundhog Christmas. Yeah, that works very well. Okay, well, if you're done, I assume.
I'm done, yeah, that's it.
Cool, well, mine is called Bill Murray Day.
Bill Murray Day?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Is this going to go really meta?
No, not at all.
If you're doing a John Malkovich thing, it's been done.
No, I'm not doing a John Malkovich thing.
Okay.
I'm not really doing a Bill Murray thing. You know what? The title's no good, but
okay.
It basically needs to just be about the main character, but the main character is just called Phil. Am I supposed to say Phil Day?
Well, tell me your plot, and we'll come back to
it doesn't work. Yeah, we'll workshop a title, but you'll see where I'm going. Okay, so it's a sequel set in present day. Bill Murray and Andie MacDowell's marriage has long since deteriorated and ended.
Oh, they're divorced now?
Yeah.
Did they stay in the same town, or...?
No.
Okay.
So he is now living by himself as a grumpy old weatherman who refuses to retire. And we pick up now 27 years later.
Wow.
Quite specifically then, because that is the moment that he forgets the lesson he learnt from the original.
Oh, wow. He's completely lost whatever he learned.
Yeah. That lesson to, be respectful to others or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I've no idea. The film was very vague about it.
Sure. Just, be better. Make use of your time.
So now, Punxsutawney Phil, Seer of Seers, Sage of Sages, Prognosticator of Prognosticators, and Weather Prophet Extraordinary.
Oh, the Groundhog.
The Groundhog.
It's still alive.
Yeah.
27 years.
John, it's been alive hundreds of years.
Oh, it's like a god.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not like a god, John.
It is a god. Okay.
It is a god. There
The
you go.
Groundhog is a god. Okay.
Anyway, Punxsutawney Phil again sets a curse on Bill Murray.
Mhm.
Only this time, instead of making him relive the same day again and again and again, he makes everybody else remember every day that happened 27 years ago.
Oh, okay. So it's not that time's in a loop. It's that everybody else who was in that loop with him the first time round remembers it. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Wow. That's good.
Yeah. So, yeah, now we basically cut to everybody else, all the different side characters.
Mm-hmm.
They've all done pretty well for themselves in the last 27 years. So we're catching up with all them. But yeah, they now will remember what I've said here, hundreds of days of the Groundhog Days back in 1993.
So like Andy McDowell remembers watching Bill Murray die in multiple horribly violent ways.
She also remembers him dating her
Yeah,
for
sure.
years.
Sure, but I think both of those would be traumatic in their own ways.
Yes. Yeah, sure. Sure. Yeah, first of all, it freaks everybody out, and then some of them start to notice this common occurrence, which is Bill Murray.
Mm-hmm.
And these people,
Also,
they all
they realise
come to-
that he's connected to it in some way.
Yeah, he's their connecting thread.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of people, it's not in a positive way.
Mhm.
For like the old ladies in the car,
Sure.
very good. Did very well.
Mhm.
The kid in the tree, mostly good, but you know, actually, a lot of the time, Bill Murray missed.
Yeah.
He could have done better. So the kid's a bit pissed off, like, hey, I died a lot of times and it hurt. Yeah, and so they form a support group. And yeah, I was thinking that maybe we could go through some of the characters and decide where they've got to.
Okay, sure.
Like how they've done.
In the intervening years.
Yeah, and then also like what effect this new thing has on them. So,
Okay.
insurance guy.
Insurance guy Ned. Okay.
Now for this, I do need him to be a billionaire.
Okay. So maybe when Bill Murray invested in all of the insurance that's, he bought every package he wanted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was that not the last night as well? So we actually had to
I
stick
think
with
it was,
this.
yeah.
That's a great he's
to
gonna
be
have.
honest, I was ashamed that they never came back to that joke.
Yeah.
I really thought like this is gonna bite me in the ass.
Yeah, but maybe that massive purchase was what set him on the road to becoming a genuinely successful businessman.
I like it, yeah.
Gave him like the capital to start his own company, and he built it from the ground up.
Yeah, sure, that works.
Mhm.
That works really well, actually, yeah. Okay, Andy McDowell.
Well, she married Bill Murray,
Yeah.
clearly. Did they have any kids?
No.
No, okay. Did she go
She
on to
married
be
Bill
like...
Murray and very quickly realised that was a bad idea.
Okay, sure. So maybe she like moved out to LA and became like a real hotshot TV producer. Like she really rose up to like be at the top of her field.
Yeah.
But specializing in like feel good documentaries that like celebrate the triumph of the human spirit because she's such a positive, optimistic person.
I wanted to be bigger than that. What if she's like, she owns like Disney or something like that?
Sure, she's like
She's like it's 27 years. It's a decent chunk of time.
okay. Oh, so she's risen. She's like a what's that guy? Is it Kevin Feige kind of type of person?
Yeah. He's the head of Marvel. Oh, I forget the Disney guy now. Yeah. But yeah, that sort of
You're
thing.
thinking that he's like a bit. She's like a billionaire.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Just like a media mogul. Like she's top of the game. She's got nowhere higher to go.
Okay.
Camera guy.
The camera guy. Well, he obviously, left the camera business and bought some property and ended up running a hotel in a small little backwater town in Canada.
Sounds good, yeah. Is it in Canada, that show?
Well, all the characters are Canadian, yeah.
Are they? I've never clocked that before. Okay, Nancy from the diner.
Which one was she?
The person who he pretended to go to school with.
Oh, the one. Okay, the one he seduced. God, I mean, you're really going down to the nitty gritty characters now. She's hardly in it.
We can skip this if you want. This bit. I've got a whole plot after this.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, no, I think we're done. Unless
Okay.
I can't think that she's of anything particularly interesting that she's doing.
Sure.
Maybe she married Ned.
Yeah, sure. Whatever. I'll move on.
Okay.
Anyway, so this group who is now they have now joined together as a support group. So you've got the insurance guy, you've got Andy McDowell, you've got all kinds of other people, like kid falling out of a tree, he becomes a stunt person. Yeah, the piano teacher, she becomes like a famous piano teacher. Maybe she's one of the people from The Perfection or something, I don't know. They all decide to get their own back against Bill Murray because he screwed them over individually in their own ways.
Oh, sure, for all the things he did in the time loops, yeah.
Yeah, like the piano teacher, she spent all her time teaching this guy piano and never made any money out of it.
I did think it was weird. So that plot is that he starts going to see a piano teacher, and every day she teaches him a little bit more, and he gets better and better. But from her perspective, she's meeting him for the first time every day, and it's just that what he's learnt up to that point is he's like, oh well, I've had a few lessons before.
Yeah,
but then on the last day when he plays the full concerto, she's like, I'm so proud of you. You're this is my student. And I'm like, no, it's not. This is a guy you met today.
That was the joke.
Okay, sure. But seemed like a stretch, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
But yeah, so because a lot of people he ignored for a lot of the time, like say the guy who chokes, he just died most of the time.
Sure.
Bill Murray saved him like once.
So his memory is of just dying like hundreds and hundreds of times.
With Bill Murray nearby. Yeah.
That's got to be very depressing.
Exactly, yeah. So they all decide to get their own back against him. And as technically nothing he did was actually illegal, and also law enforcement aren't going to believe them, so they need to take matters into their own hands. So, now cut back to Bill Murray.
Right.
He's gone about his normal, lonely life, and he gets let through the door from his news station, supposedly, telling him that he has won Weatherman of the Century.
That's a very grandiose award.
Exactly.
So they only give that award out once every 100 years.
And they want to celebrate him by giving him a national day for the town of Punxsutawney, known as Bill Murray Day.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Because of his infamous news reading of that, always covering that one story.
Yeah.
Okay, and warming people's hearts. Okay.
He excitedly accepts and agrees to it. So
I don't think Bill Murray does anything excitedly, Harry.
Fine. Yeah, he can get giddy. Look at him in Little Shop of Horrors. He gets pretty excited in that.
Okay, true. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, well, he grumpily accepts and agrees to it. Is that better for you?
That's better, yeah. Reluctantly, yeah.
Yeah. So next day, he's picked up in a limo and driven to the airport and later flown to Punxsutawney. He's driven to the same B&B from before where he's put up in the same suite. The next day, he wakes up. It's Sonny and Cher on the radio again. Feels a little bit familiar, but he moves on. It's been 27 years. Probably just a coincidence. And he's instructed to go to the same park, Gobbler's Knob, that the Groundhog Day celebration was held in, where there is now a Bill Murray celebration.
Oh, it's Bill Murray Day. I get it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So there's like a statue of him, yeah?
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool.
Along the way, he bumps into a few people from before. He bumps into the insurance guy. He bumps into a different old homeless guy.
Sure.
Because, the first old homeless guy, he's not around anymore.
No, he's dead, yeah.
He walks in a puddle. All sorts of things happen that are quite similar. These things are not exactly the same. Like, he bumps into an insurance guy, and he's like, oh, yeah, I remember you from 27 years ago. From, the 90s. So, it is all still present day, but things are feeling very similar.
Right.
Everyone keeps congratulating him on winning this award, and they're all treating him very nicely. He loves it. He's having a really good time.
Yeah,
and so he goes to the celebration, accepts an award, and generally just has a good day. Goes back to the B&B, end of the day, goes to sleep. Thinks nothing more of it. Wakes up the next day, it's Sonny and Cher again. Everybody is celebrating Bill Murray again and again and again. I'm not going to go further into it because you know where I'm going with that.
Sure.
He realises he's stuck again, and so he tries the same things as before. Being nice, being compassionate, trying to save people's lives. Not that he knows it, but the person he's trying to save the life is actually the guy who falls out the tree from the first film. Just again and again and again.
Okay.
He's a stuntman now. He knows what he's doing.
Oh, I see, of course, because he'd be like in his 40s now, sure. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but none of this works. No matter how nice Bill Murray gets, National Bill Murray Day keeps happening every day. And he is sick of it. Everybody's treating him really nice, and he doesn't feel like he's earned it. So he goes to sleep that night, and the camera zooms out. It zooms out to reveal that outside his B&B is a set. It's a film set.
Oh, it's all...
And there are people walking around carrying camera equipment. And here we get a very Truman Show style exposition break to reveal that Andy McDowell's media company has built a Truman Show dome for the Bill Murray Show.
So he's not actually trapped in a time loop again. They're just making him think he is. Oh.
All the people that hate him for what he did 27 years ago, they have all come together and they have all built this world to torture him.
I mean, that's kind of a long walk. This must have cost them an absolute fortune.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of billionaires involved in this
I
company.
suppose if Ned's a billionaire, he can pay for it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, they've got the finances, they've got the resources.
Okay, that works.
Yeah, and they've certainly got the motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And all the stars, all the co-stars, they're all the people that were living on Punxsutawney back in the 90s. And, they're all sick of Bill Murray and they want to get their own back, make a bit of money out of it. So they made a big TV show. And so for lack of a better name, that is The Bill Murray Show. Or Groundhog Day 2, The Bill Murray Show.
How about The Groundhog Show?
The Groundhog Show.
Yeah.
Simple, it works.
Yeah, cool. So after complaining that earlier on that I once did The Truman Show 2 episodes in a row, your sequel this week is The Truman Show.
Yes, indeed.
Excellent. Very good.
It's not 2 weeks in a row, though, is it, John?
No, true. I'll be waiting. I'll be listening to next week's pitch with interest. But no, I like that. That's a really good idea, actually. I think that's very good.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, excellent. Very good. Should we move on to listener submissions then?
Yes, I've got loads and I've not sorted them, so...
Oh, God. Please don't read all of them.
No, I won't. Okay, the first one I've got, potentially the best one. Nickish has said, Groundhog Day.
Oh, I see. Yes, I had a few of those as well. Yeah.
Brian Wilson says February the 3rd.
Yeah, that makes sense because the original film takes place on February the 2nd. So.
Yeah. Patrick Barnes says Wild Hogs Day. Bill Murray wakes up and has to live out the events of Wild Hogs every day.
Oh, yeah, that's a really bad movie with John Travolta, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Keith Taylor says the sequel is the same movie shot from the point of view of the kid who falls out of the tree, and it documents him coming to terms with the endless repeated agony of breaking his spine on the pavement every time Murray decides not to save him, because he'd rather go and learn the piano, make a snowman, or screw the woman who makes noises like a chipmunk when she gets excited.
Wow. Sounds a bit twisted, but yeah, I can see that. Like a psychological horror.
Yeah. Simon Monk Tripman says Bill Murray's character, after the events of Groundhog Day, goes on to live a long and happy life until dying of old age, at which point he wakes up again on Groundhog Day as if those years never happened.
Oh, God. So he's just in a constant life loop. That wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah. Paul Spooner says Groundhog Weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That works. And finally here, Brian Moman says Groundhog Day never had a sequel, prequel or spin-off, and nor does it need one, but if it did, what would it be about and or what would it be called? The sillier the answers, the better. He has literally just copied and pasted my status.
Ah, okay. That's a more creative spin on the whole let's just do the original film thing. So,
yeah.
I respect that. Very good. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. I have some as well. Once again, I had many that were just like Groundhog Day. So thank you all for those. Also, Dennis Fanning said Groundhog Night.
Yeah.
Marianne Davies said Groundhog Day is a perfect movie. Any idea for a sequel is pure heresy. But here's my idea nonetheless. Groundhog Day 2, you re-release the movie and slap 2 on the title with no other changes. So
brilliant, yeah.
It's the same thing, but actually like make it like a cinematic prank.
Yeah. I had a couple of those too.
Yeah. David Pastor said you could start with the original draft of the script, in which the movie actually begins with Bill Murray already in Groundhog Day and having been there for 10,000 years.
Mm.
So rather than it like showing him at the beginning of the story, just enter it in the middle when he's already like, that's just the world he lives in. That could be interesting.
It could, but it also screams like the film's going to be written, how did he get here? Let's throw some flashbacks.
It would be, yeah, probably like an origin story kind of thing, yeah. So
yeah.
Well, it's a thought. Stephanie Browning said Phil and Ned Ryerson, the insurance guy, in high school together. It's a prequel.
Oh, yeah.
/ origin story.
Mm-hmm.
So were they actually friends? Find out. Stephen Socher said it's going to be May, where Bill Murray relives April the 30th over and over and over again and has to endure a constant overdone meme holiday.
Nice, yeah.
Mike Carey said Punxsutawney Phil, it's an animated movie retelling the whole story from the groundhog's perspective, and it turns out the groundhog is also stuck in the time loop until he sets things right. So
Sure.
that could work well. Yeah. Ant McGinley from Pods Up North, at Ant McGinley, said Quantum Day. Just like Sam in the TV show Quantum Leap, Phil keeps waking up on random days of his life rather than the same one over and over again, and has to live them again, but only gets one day to fix what once went wrong. So
that's
he's
cool,
jumping
yeah.
around to like bad days from his life, from the whole span of his life, and he's got to have a chance to put things right that he did wrong in the past. But he's only got one chance, and if he screws it up, he's screwed. I think that's interesting. I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
And finally, Cinema Adventure Pod at Cinema Adventure Pod said, Phil thinks that he's in a loop again, but it turns out he's just trapped inside during a pandemic. So essentially, it's today.
Excellent, yeah.
So thank you everybody for those sequel ideas. We ask for your listener submissions every week, a few days before we record, by putting posts out on Facebook and Twitter where you can post your ideas. So make sure you like and follow our pages if you don't want to miss out. To listen to more episodes of Beyond the Box Set, you can subscribe and browse our back catalogue on any podcasting platform, including iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and many others, all of which you can also leave a 5-star review if you like. It really helps us to attract new listeners, so please do consider doing that. We're also available on Patreon, as mentioned before. It's exclusively for the people who would rate us more than 5 stars if they could. You can find the links in the description below or at beyondtheboxset.com. And next week, Harry, is it my turn to do a Groundhog Day movie?
Yeah, it is.
Sure, okay. So I had to do a little bit of a Google for movies that use the Groundhog Day concept. And I'm sure we've got a lot of crossover in ones that, we're probably going to do this season. I'm sure you've got a few in mind. I came across one that I'm not sure whether you'd have thought of this one or not, but I know it's a very popular cult film that a lot of people rate very highly, that we've never done before. I've never seen it before, actually, but I think it might be an interesting one to do.
Okay.
So I am going to nominate a little film called Primer.
Primer.
Do you know it?
I know of it, but I don't know what it's about. Yeah, I think it's one of those films that's like loosely been on my list,
Yeah.
but I've never actually. Yeah, I think it's the sort of one that, like, if I see something about it on YouTube, I'll skip over that part of the video.
Sure, yeah.
Like, I've always meant to watch it and know that it's something to kind of avoid knowing about.
Okay.
Cool. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, great. A film that neither of us have seen before, so we'll see.
Do you know if it actually fits this season?
It came up on a list when I literally Googled Groundhog Day movies, so apparently there's,
Okay, cool.
close enough,
I'm happy enough with that.
Cool, great, excellent. Well, join us next week for Primer.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
See you next week. Bye.
This is one time where television really fails to capture the true excitement of a large squirrel predicting the weather.